next, it's my honor to bring up Larry Raigetal. He's from the, what we locally refer to FSM, the Federated States of Micronesia and Yap. And he's bringing a similar perspective, talking about looking for the alternative solution. So, thank you, Larry.
Good afternoon. It's hard when you're one of the last, if not the last speaker, but I will, while my friend Peter's presentation or wording for his slides were being vaporized, mine was being kind of jumbled all over. I stayed up until 6 this morning. So if I fall asleep, Peter, please grab one of the ropes and hit me. I had come thinking that I would just do a off-the-hip shot at this, but I saw so many great, wonderful presentations yesterday that made me feel compelled. I need to at least put together something. So please bear with me. I'm not sure I know.
I think hit escape, and then I think you can close it.
But while Peter is doing that, I should tell you that it's been a very great honor to be here, and I thank Simon and Sylvia for making it possible for me. My first day of coming here, I encountered some issues with the hotel because I have no credit cards. I told them that I don't use plastic cards, but if they want my stone money, I'll give it to them. So anyways, but I figured out something will work out.
We're almost there. Unfortunately, the escape button is right by the power button. That was what happened.
All right, while he's doing that, I should also say that it is customary for us to always pay respect to the elders, those in the audience, and most especially those our chiefs from the land on which we stand today. I come from an island that is quite far away from here. I saw a few people in the crowd. Eric, Metzgar, and Betsy, they've been there, and perhaps maybe one or two more have been there too. So I'll tell you this story, but I should, before I tell you this story, I think I should at least put myself into it, make me feel proper to tell the story of my ancestors. So I'm not gonna do a strip dance for you, but I will dress properly because it is my culture and because it is for them that I stand here and I speak on behalf of the younger people that I work with. So there's a whole story to my dress code, but I'm not going to get into it. It's a little bit more personal.
Yeah, great story.
I'll let Eric tell you that story.
Now?
Come on, take them off.
This was what I'm wearing is actually a formal wear for us from where I come from. And we wear these things when we're preparing to do important stuff, including having to immerse ourselves into the spirit world. So it's important to connect to the past, and for us, for me in particular, to understand that the knowledge that I've acquired in canoe building, in navigation, and in whatever else sacred knowledge I have is for someone else. And it was given to me with the huge responsibility to pass it on. That someone else might have been my uncles, it was my father, yes, it was all of them, it was my grandfather, but it goes all the way back to some gods. whether it be the Aronga, the spirit of weather, whether it be Anunue, the spirit of navigation, or whether it be some other spirits of all these sacred knowledge that we speak of. I get nervous when I'm about to enter this world, but I will do my best. Sorowami Tamur, Sorowami Ahmed, Sorow Fat Priami. The Horauri at Torrandro were feel so, who got the terrifying started banging. A rare need the Pajagram was read up, so if the young at the much. Paravi away, then ferry the Il a nu peu auto, I will already forget. The rat in Pomage must sort of feed the fan. But when my pie dog, there's what will. Our stories are normally told in chants or some other way, but chant is passed on. The chant that I just did was a cry from a man about his son who went to school in San Francisco. And that story, that chant tells about a time when he was mixing up with kids from all over the world. And it was his wish that he was going to be turning himself into the frigate bird to fly to wherever he was in San Francisco. And sure enough, he found him. And he grabbed onto him, pulled him over, and just tell him, don't ever get yourself in the whirlpool of the life you're in. Remember from where you came. That was my father. I don't know if he's succeeding in convincing me, but I'd like to think that it's my own desire to go back, but more and more I feel that he is succeeding. He passed away a couple of months ago, and the attire I'm wearing were from him, that I never knew. Well, he gave me as a Christmas present, but I didn't expect that it was going to be with me. When I went to Australia to do a presentation, I was totally at loss because it was 2 days when he passed away. 2 days later, I went to Australia. Everything was gone. So I stood up not knowing what to say, or at least hours before that, I knew I had nothing to say. But I opened my luggage, and sure enough, my unpacked Christmas gift was there, and it's what I'm wearing. Yeah. So I put him on, and it's as if everything all came back. I can't see. I don't know. Peter, where are you? Hit me with that rope. Where's my first? No, where's? I just need my.
Your presentation. I need my glasses.
No, that's for tonight. Looking for solution or? Here. All right. I told you he didn't sleep until 4 a.m. or 3. Then I stayed up after him using his computer until 6 a.m. So I had 2 hours, and of course I have to fly tomorrow morning for another over 24 hours. Okay, where is it? How do we do this into a slide? Oh, here.
Got it?
Did I get it? Okay. All right, so the topic or the title of my presentation is Seeking for Alternatives, or Seeking for Alternate Solutions. Can you see?
Yeah.
So I just did a chant for you that connect me to my roots. And I also beg indulgence of co-navigator Eric, my brother, who's here. one of the very first things that we always learn in navigation, in traditional navigation, and very critical to everything that was shared yesterday with regards to the mathematics, with regards to everything else that you need to know, is that we are taught that our land of origin is really our first point of reference to determine the course for the land of destination. In other words, when you sail away from the land, and before it disappeared on the horizon, you need to look back. That is your first point of reference. You need to know from under which star it disappeared, because that will give you the course. It gives you an idea how much you drift offline, and it allows you to adjust your course to your destination. It's important for us to look to the past, and Angelo spoke that very well. You know, you need to look to the past because that is your future. Those are pictures of the canoes that I took with my cousin Ali up to Guam for FESPAC last year when we voyaged, and actually the film that I will present this evening, or screen this evening, is a short 27-minute documentary film on that voyage. Some very quick geographical background for you. I come from Yap, Federated States of Micronesia, and it's in the middle of the Caroline Islands. It has a population of 11,000 people, second least populated of the 4 FSM states, that being Chuk and Koshrai, Ponape. 65% of our population in Yap State. So out of that 11,000 live in the main island, the mountainous island of Yap. The remaining percent is from what we call the outer islands. The outer islands are flat islands, nothing more than 6 feet above sea level. And in particular, my island is Lamatrek, which is about 1.5 square miles and a population of 300 people, 34 households. So you can imagine when I found myself in San Francisco years ago, and I thought I was in space, or in Mars, or some other weird planet, because never in my life had I seen skyscrapers, let alone standing on an elevator, on an escalator, that made me think that defies the law of physics of having to stand and move at the same time. It stretched over 600 miles from the whole state, 78 outer islands. 18 of these islands are inhabited, but our land is only 45.8 square miles. But our area is about 500,000 square miles of ocean. Might be larger than San Diego, right? There are 4 indigenous languages groups in the state that I come from. Yapese is a complete different language. Ulithian is a dialect of what I speak, which is the Olayan. And Sarawalese is another dialect, and that's Tony speaks that. It's also the language where our brothers and sisters known as the Rafaluash or the Carlinians now living in the Northern Marianas. So we have some terms that we're commonly known as. We are Remetau, and Remetau, if you literally translate it, it means people of the ocean. From the Yapese people, we are known as Pimetau, again, people that found themselves from the ocean. Rafaluash is our name in the CNMI, which refers to us referring to from being the flat islands, or Baganwar, which is people from the end of the reef, or Rafnapi, which is people from the sandy bars. And this is who we are. These are the Remetau people of the ocean. These are, I'll just show you some quick photos and slides of if it works. All right, so these are guys working with me, the elders. That's them making canoe houses. And that's, this was actually the post ceremony in which Eric was apprentice and initiated as a pope. He's the guy with the camera right there. That's my cousin Ali, who initiated them. He's also a master navigator. Just some routine photos of our people of the ocean. That's our ocean craft. You might have, I think you've seen some of those. That's at some top speed going there, but as I said this morning, our canoes are not designed so much for speed as it is for safety and cargo. And that's our canoe house that the kids come around as we work and we teach them. Taken from 1940s by the navies. So that's how we make our bandana sail. A little bit about our challenges and our threat, or the threats that is facing us. So, our culture is no doubt being threatened by changes. Changes are happening. Our islands are small, and while they may be seen as a touristy area and great for adventure seekers to go out and see a small island and how we live, we do have our own challenges, including us being far away, which have then also allow us to develop some taste to this new life and made us curious about what lies beyond our horizon. That was in fact what made me have to leave my island. It was something similar to the movie The Gods Must Be Crazy, and wanting to find out where that bottle of Coke came from. Somebody actually, that presentation yesterday was actually really good when they talk about the ocean pollution or plastic pollution. And I shared this with Eric and some others yesterday. When I was a little kid on that island, I looked forward very much to going to the leeward side of the island. Why? Because that's where the treasure was. That's where we found a pair of sneakers or a pair of sari or something else that we could transform it into something usable. Today, however, you don't want to see that. That's a big mess. A lot of plastic washing up on shore. So while the congested area might have been closer to California and between Hawaii and California, I assure you, that's because we're trapping everything else that was in the ocean is now washing up on our shores. So there are several reasons why, so now you see all of these challenges that is happening to us, and we're curious and we want to move off. To me, I think there are several reasons why we're moving from these islands, and it's happening. The 36% of our YAP state population, that's a significant number of the 11,000. Now, take that and go backward 10 years, 15 years ago. Out of that 36%, you would probably see the number around 200 people hovering around 2 living in the center. And they normally are the ones working there for the government, or maybe private. But that has changed today. We've jumped significantly from that number to over 1,000 outer islander moving to YAP. And you wonder why we're moving. Well, first of all, we're curious. We want to taste that Coke. And we want to get the taste of this new lifestyle. But to do so, we need to participate in the cash economy. So that's making us move. So number one reason might be that. 2, other opportunities, be it in health, be it in education, it's making us move. But my biggest fear and biggest worry is that 6 feet above sea level, and it's happening as we speak, in no time, we are going to be forced to migrate. And while we're physically migrating off, we can't really migrate the rest of our soil, let alone the canoe houses that we own. These are important aspects of our identity, of our culture that becomes really who we are. All right, then. So we're witnessing this increased migration of our people, and that's a big concern for us. Yes, it's already impacting our culture and our societies, and the newborn generations of our communities are no longer sure where they came from. Are they Outer Islanders? Are they from Lamatrick? Are they from Yap Main Island? Because those two are two different cultures with completely two different languages. That's posing a risk for who we are. That's not to say that we're neglecting our culture, or that's where I come in. That's where the organization that I helped co-founded over 10 years ago is doing. So what do? We want to recreate our learning center, the canoe houses. We want to teach our younger people traditional skills and knowledge by ensuring that the elders are passing on this knowledge. Knowledge includes canoe carving, traditional navigation, fishing method, rope making, some of which you saw, weaving, among many other things. And in teaching these skills and knowledge,
How is this affecting the language learning of the children that are now being born on Yapa, whose parents come from places like Lamatrick?
where right now you haven't seen, I haven't seen, if anything, they're becoming bilinguals. So they're speaking ours because their parents are speaking the Outer Island language, but the completely different language from Yap. The kids they turn to a Yapese kid, they speak, you never know, you don't know anymore if he or she's an Outer Island kid, but they're becoming bilinguals.
Is there a tension then between the Outer Islanders and people of Yap?
That's a very good question. Not there yet, but I'm pretty sure it will come. That's something that I don't rule out. It's just the way things are. We are the new kid on the block, and at some point, it's going to become like a pressure on the resources of those that their lands were staying. But while it's not there yet, I'm not entirely ruling it out.
So in, and I know in Yap, there are a number of communities where now people from outer islands are living, but you have people from all over those Carolinian islands. And this is, well again, it's, you have Lamatrick people, all these other people from Europe and Waiai and Ifuruk, and how are they involved in all these programs?
Yes, thank you. While I said Lamatrick, that's because they're the first one that I'm able to bring them to the canoe houses. But these are public facilities that are given, and as such, the services and the knowledge that we're teaching is open to not just, I should say, while focusing on the Outer Islanders, it's open to the whole state. The program is a nonprofit organization that I started, and we must ensure that we teach the knowledge. The tricky thing is that this is new. Our traditional and sacred knowledges, as I said, they're sacred. There's a reason for it. You don't pass it outside of the circle. It stays within that circle. But what I'm doing is like realizing that we're at risk. The elders are getting old, and their own child might not be interested in what they have, whether it be navigation, canoe building. Someone else's child might. So I tell the ones in Lamatrick, the elders, I said, look, he may not be or she may not be your child, but later on you will know that it's better to pass it on than for you taking 6 feet under. So they're starting to come around, and likewise Europic and Woliai are starting to also come and share knowledge.
So on the same subject, Larry, I mean, Mao is, in a sense, the model of that, right?
Exactly.
I mean, he went way beyond
Exactly.
the islands, and so do you take him as a model? You say, look, this is what you can, I mean, it's very difficult, right?
It is, and I do that. He was the pioneer, you know, and he said it numerous times in the television or in the YouTube recordings that he's got. You know, my kids, I'm interested in passing it on because these guys are interested in learning it. You know? And I have the same kind of approach. It's like, I hope that it will be my child to learn. But if my child doesn't learn what I know, I'll be sure to give it to someone else that appreciates it, because I know that will go around in a circle. My grandchild might be interested, and that knowledge is still around.
Do you have a question? No?
Well, I'm just curious, in a couple of instances, I've heard there's an interest in other education, like a more Western education on these islands. Is that mutually exclusive? I mean, do you find that kids that get a more Western education and the traditional one, that they're less interested in the traditional if they're already getting Western, or vice versa?
Now, that's a good question. And sometimes when I go and speak to the children at school, I look at myself and I'm wondering, they probably think I'm the biggest hypocrite of all time. You know, I've had my time in San Francisco, in England, and I've worked and I've traveled the world, and here I am talking to them like, this is good. No, I don't prevent. What I do is I tell them, there is good reasons for you to get the formal Western education. Learn it. Learn it because it's going to happen anyways. But like that canoe navigation saying, if you know from where you came, you will know where you're going. If you don't, you might as well, you know, just be lost and, I don't know, live somewhere else, because is that, I don't know, but there is obviously a government rule, policy for every children to go to school. So that is happening. And quite honestly, that becomes a little bit of a challenge for me too when I try to entice them to come. So I have to go to them and present it, or talk to them and give them an opportunity. But like I said, I encourage them to go to school and go learn. In fact, I think for me, when I was on my role of going to schools, I was like, I wasn't even thinking about going back. I was just focusing, and then I decided one day, hey, I'm going to go back and learn it.
Yeah,
Eric.
on that subject, Larry, isn't there they coexist within the schooling system? I noticed on Lamatrek and Wooley,
The
there is
cultural
a
program?
traditional aspect that is incorporated into the Western school, the elementary school system, and the culture teacher.
Yes.
One of the elders, or
Yes.
chief, or somebody who knows a great deal about many subjects, the fish in the ocean, the stars and everything. He's part of the Western schooling system.
Yes.
So there's a balance.
Yeah. Thank you, Eric, for pointing that out. Yeah. I was.
Yeah, they're not two separate things. It's inclusive. Yeah.
I was just reminiscing about how in the movies, maybe it was like the late 50s or 60s, but there was a sense of, say from America's point of view, that they were giving the world new information. And the formal education system was sought after by the indigenous peoples and people in the islands. So there was this kind of a idea that the people from the islands would come to America and they would learn, get their college degree, and they would go back to their island and they would help them rebuild and help them get more modern.
That's a good. That's the strategy of the U.S. government, was to come out and Americanize these guys with brown skin. That's fine.
So is there, what I was thinking is, sometimes we have great ideas, but we don't implement them in the right way. And what I see is, the Chamorros as having to almost westernize their governmental thinking so they can talk to the government that's imposing on them, meaning that they're sincere and they're saying, yes, we want our canoes, and yes, we want to live this way, and we want to fish, and we want to be happy. And the government goes, we don't care. We want to protect the world. We want to keep on going with the future. And so there's this thing of saying, when you were saying we are the past, we are looking into the past. The idea of we're looking into the past, why don't we confront their past wrongs and say, it's your problem, you have to correct your problem. It's not us that have to correct our problem. So what I'm getting at is that the idea of making the people that are authoritarian realize that the authoritarian concept is understood by the Chamorro, and there is no more higher power than the people and the resource of their own creation.
I'm with you completely on that point too.
I might just kind of transition. We have about 15 minutes before our dinner reception. And to kind of tie all this up, hold on to your questions. We can include it in our discussion, but let's go ahead and thank Larry once again.